with you.
He's an 8-time Louisiana Association of Broadcasters Award winner. And he snaked a ball through his legs.
Why did your name go?
This is Scone T.
All right, we got audio. Hell yeah. Let's roll, boys. Take 2. Let's go, Scone. Take it away, man.
Do you realize all the people watching or listening on demand have no idea that it fucked up the first time and you just blew it, so now I got to reset that?
Dude, what the fuck? Who cares, man? Just do it. Just stop bitching and let's go,
man.
dude. Let's
game
go.
Week. It's
Game
LSU,
week.
Florida State. I was all fired up, and we kind of just like shot out of a cannon, and then we had to recoil everything back into the cannon.
We're good. Stop focusing on the past. One snap and clear. As we prepare to enter another football season, embrace the golden rule of football. One snap and fucking clear.
I thought the golden rule was score more points than the other team.
Nope.
I thought the golden rule was win the line of scrimmage.
Wrong.
I thought the golden rule was protect the football.
All wrong.
Win the turnover battle.
All wrong.
Limit the mistakes.
I guess not technically wrong.
Yeah.
How do you
limit the penalties?
How do you do everything that you just said?
You play better than the other team.
How do you do that?
You are physically better than them, and you prepare better, and you execute the game plan.
And how do you do that?
By executing the game plan.
One snap and clear. Okay, you cannot get hung up on a good play or a bad play. It's all about the next play.
I think that's a dumb comment, because if I take you on at the line of scrimmage and I realize like you're weak on your left step, then I don't want to forget that. I don't want to clear out that step. I want to remember that you're not good like that.
No. See, now you're just being argumentative. It's obviously not the point. The point is you have to exist in a state where each play is its own individual battle, and you are armed with all the knowledge that you have prepared ahead of time in each and every single motherfucking play.
Okay.
And we're going to give you some plays today. We are 24 hours away, a little less, from the backyard brawl, bro. Okay? West Virginia Pitt. Kicking things off. We're rolling straight into a fire-ass week 1. We got some Big Ten action tomorrow with the little Purdue. Why am I blanking? Purdue. I took Purdue. Money line. Who's Purdue playing?
I don't know. There's a lot of people watching right now or listening after that game's been played. So let's do this. It's Scone T. We're at Oliver Twist in Baton Rouge on Perkins Road. Fire spot. We love being here. We're so glad and happy that our friends here at Scone T host us every single week. You're welcome to join us Wednesdays, 7 o'clock. We're live on the Watch 104.5 ESPN YouTube channel, the 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge Facebook page. So if you can't join us here, you can watch us live on stream, or many of you watching, listening on demand. Duh. Many of you watching, listening on demand, we appreciate you so much for being there as well. If you're on YouTube, please smash that like button. And on Facebook, please share the post as well. It is game week. It is LSU, Florida State. We have finally made it through the long and dreary abyss without football. But we have made it to game week for LSU and Florida State. How do you feel about the game now that as we record this, 4 days away?
You want to know how I feel about this game?
I do. That's why I asked.
I put every dollar that I had in my DraftKings account on LSU to cover. It is the single biggest bet I have ever made in my entire life.
How much?
Yes, I'm not putting a number on it.
I want to hear.
It's not a crazy
I'll tell you mine.
No.
I'll tell you mine.
I think it's a little crass. I'm not really into it. The point is, what y'all need to understand is I normally do.
It does speak to how much you believe in what you're selling.
I normally do $10 to $20 bets, and I did a big boy, significantly more,
100?
because I want a nut.
500?
No. I want a nut to play with for the rest of this football season. And this game, LSU is so drastically undervalued compared to Florida State. It's a home game. You have a much better coach. You are better on both lines of scrimmage. They're better at running back. You're way better at wide receiver. What are you talking about? The FSU offensive line is horrid.
But we don't know if the LSU offensive line is any good.
I guarantee you they are better than the FSU offensive line. FSU center graded out at a 59 against Duquesne.
So their center was a backup.
Exactly.
Because their starting center didn't play last week. They held him out. He's going to go this week.
Everybody, their guard graded out at a 62. The only person graded out well was the left tackle, hit 80. Everybody else was in the 60s or under.
By the way,
this is
I'm not going to sell
offensive line.
I'm not going to sell you on Florida State's offensive line. Look, I'm not going to sell you on them running for 400 yards against Duquesne. We all know what we watched, okay? And I believe LSU's defensive line is going to be a big problem for them.
That's good.
It's fantastic. So we're going to get to the break-even bottle in a second. So just to be very clear, my point is I think the opposite may also be true. I think LSU's offensive line may have a legitimate problem controlling Florida State's defensive front, which is where I think that's if you accept those two realities, which are both teams have real questions on the offensive line. Both teams, their admitted strength is the defensive front. It's going to come down to, right? I mean, it's going to come down to which offensive line can play good enough to either generate some type of a rushing attack or keep their quarterback protected to make plays in the pass game, where I do think LSU has an advantage.
And look, man, okay, so let's say the offensive lines are even with the defensive line being the strength of this Florida State team, it is not as good as what we believe the LSU front seven to be. So even if you say that the offensive line is even, it's still a better front seven for LSU. I won't say, I'll say quarterback play, a push. I mean, I think obviously if you shut down the run for Florida State, that's going to be a wrap. Whatever. The point is, I am feeling as confident. The fact that this game is at 3 points in the Superdome, I get it. LSU is still a relative unknown, but again, as I said, the strength lines up with Florida State's biggest weakness, and I believe that LSU has a much better coaching staff than does Florida State. Brian Kelly's much better than Mike Norvell, and how about this? For all of our week 0 worry, they got to play a warm-up game, all this stuff. Do you know that teams that get that week 0 warm-up game only cover or win 40% of the time? I can't remember if it was cover or win, but it's actually historically not an advantage.
In week 0 or the next week?
The next week. So what I mean is it's historically not an advantage. Historically, the team that has a film or a game worth of film to break down does better than the team that got to tune up. So that's even out the window at this point. Like I said, the single biggest bet I've ever made in my life. I'm going to make this nut here at the very beginning to play with the entire season. I think LSU's going to win by double digits.
Tonight's break-even bottle is the Orange Label Weller. This is Weller's Single Barrel. This would normally go for $40 an ounce. It is a very, very, of the Wellers, it's as a CYPB and Single Barrel would be the two rarest. And I don't know, maybe they get one bottle a year of Weller Orange, maybe two, but it ain't many. And so these are $5 a pour only for half an hour after the show. So you got to be here tonight after we're done, at 8 o'clock, and they're going to sell these for $5 a pour. So if you're watching or listening on demand, sorry, but you're fucked.
That's an 8X. I mean, right? $40 normally, $5 now. Come on, people. I'm drinking the Witch Hunt, which is Calvados, Strega, Benedictine, Dry Vermouth, and Herb St. Rens. I don't know what the fuck I just read.
Okay.
But this is the cock of the week.
All right. We are, if you're new to the podcast, we did start Scone T last year for football season. We did 2 episodes a week. Monday would be a weekend recap. Then Thursday we would preview the weekend ahead and pick all of the games in the SEC. So we are going to do that at the end of this pod before we get to your questions. Yeah. We will pick week 1 in the SEC. So you'll want to hear that. We'll give you all of our picks for week 1. I don't know, man. I think I might have a slight upset that I'm going to pick in the league this week. So we'll get to that a bit later here in the show. Let's go through some of what we know as of this week. Brian Kelly's not going to name a starting quarterback publicly. And, one of the things, though, that he hasn't said, and I guess it's on us as the media for not having asked him the question, he didn't say whether or not he's told the quarterbacks yet who the starter's going to be. And B.J. Ojulari, when he met with reporters Tuesday night, said the team doesn't know. Is it plausible that Jaden and Garrett still don't know?
I mean, it's certainly plausible. I have no idea if it's true or not. I don't know, man. We are getting close to flirting with a 2-quarterback system. Again, the only time when I get a bit skeptical on these issues, it's not if you want to delay or put off or wait to announce the quarterback. I don't love that. At a certain point, it's kind of I don't like all these coaches withholding their depth chart. I'm at a certain point, maybe it's a meathead. I mean, line up and just go fucking win the game, right? Just go be better than the other team. But sure, you want to save percentage points. It's a massive game, obviously, for Kelly and the staff started this new season out. If they're just playing games and they have their guy, they choose their guy, and they stick with their guy, I'm fine with that. The bigger thing for me to swallow or get past will be, until they choose Daniels, he struggles out of the gate, and then they go to Nussmeier, right? Whenever we talked about it, whenever that mid-game switch happens, that's when things start to get a little weird. And I said this on Snaps, but right now, this is basically a commentary on the value of your brand, right? And whether or not people believe in you. Because I used to clown Les Miles when he would play these sorts of games. I clown Jim Harbaugh to a certain extent. Though, again, if Harbaugh sticks with his guy after the third game on, then it's okay. But whatever. The point is, I have clowned coaches for playing these games for years and years and years. But I am such a believer in Brian Kelly's resume. Watching The Follow has, like a good documentary does, sold me on his process. Then I'm kind of like, okay, man. This is Brian Kelly reaching out to me and saying, do you trust me? And I'm saying, okay, I think that I do, but we will end up seeing.
I don't know what you just said.
What I'm saying is that I'm worried that this is going to be a two-quarterback system, that essentially Brian Kelly and the question is whether or not you trust Brian Kelly to pull that off.
I think it's not going to be a two-quarterback system in the sense that you keep jockeying quarterbacks. I think you may see something like you saw in 2020 where Miles was your guy when he got hurt. They had to decide. They went with T.J. Finley, and then Finley started to sputter, and they went to Max the rest of the season. I don't know if you would define that as a two-quarterback system, but I do think both guys are
that's okay. That's better. It's a mid-game switch where you're going back and forth that becomes the problem.
I don't think that's going to happen, where you're volleying back and forth. Eventually, one of these guys will emerge, and I'll still maintain what I've said all along. Jaden's experience is going to let him the advantage early, even if by default, and he just has to play well enough to win the job. And if he does, he's going to keep being the quarterback. And then we'll see Garrett when they're blowing teams out. And if things really go south this season, they'll have to make a decision at some point if they make a switch and play for the future with Garrett. And I don't know that that's going to happen. I sure hope it doesn't. I don't think that will happen. But I think if you're Brian Kelly, you take every opportunity you have, if it is Jaden, to get Garrett in games when you can, against Southern, against New Mexico, and all that sort of stuff. But you're playing for the now. It's what they did in 2017, Ed's first year, where, I think we might have talked about this last week. Matt Canada wanted to go with the young guy. He wanted to play Miles Brennan. He wanted to play for the future. And Ed knew he had to win games, so he went with the more veteran guy. And they went with Danny Etling, even though, Etling's ceiling was lower, feasibly or theoretically at the time. But it was, let's win now. And I think that's probably where Brian Kelly's going to be this year with these quarterbacks as well.
I like that you're doing the feasibly or theoretically, given that Danny Etling is still in the league and Miles is no longer.
Well, that's what I said. I mean, you can, but at the time in 2017, that was the thought, right? I mean, you got the Elite 11 guy who's the big recruit coming in, and you're playing for the future with him. And Etling was the transfer, who was a good, not great player, and you went on. So
the thing is, I don't care who plays quarterback. This LSU team should win.
Against Florida State?
Yeah. Garrett Nussmeier or Jaden Daniels.
But the thing,
if they don't win against a Mike Norvell team and program that has been garbage and that has objectively less talent than you, even rebuilding from the 39 up, if you look at the two rosters, Florida State has objectively less talent. They have less players that will play in the NFL. LSU should win. If they don't, it is a massive disappointment. I mean, Jordan Travis may have more experience playing for his team. He doesn't have more experience than Daniels does overall. He may have more experience than Garrett Nussmeier, but he's not that good. Like, he can run, he's okay. He cannot throw the ball especially well. I really do like their running back room. Like, if you want the big Florida State advantage, their running backs appear to be, especially without John Emery, much better than LSU's running backs. But what can a running back do behind a bad offensive line? So, no, I mean, dude, LSU should win. Like, there's no excuse. If they don't win, that's an awful start to the Kelly era.
I mean, you could stall drives, you could turn the ball over, you could miss kicks. That's a big, giant question, right? I mean, we don't know what Damian Ramos is going to be as a place kicker. And, I mean, that was something that in 2018 got answered emphatically in that Miami game with Cole Tracy, because I think he was 4 for 4 in that game and hit one from 53 or 54. I think it hit the crossbar and went over. I think, I think LSU's going to win the game. Okay, I think it's going to be a lower scoring game, probably in the 20s, and I do think LSU wins a close game. I'm not assuming everything's going to go right for LSU. I do believe LSU's a better team and better coached, and they'll have the advantage of the venue and all the things we've talked about. So I do think LSU is going to win the game. I don't know that I'm in this mode where I'm telling you I think LSU is going to win a runaway. I mean, I see some fans with like these 38-10, 48-17. I'm like, come on. Like, can we got to be somewhat realistic about where LSU's been the last 2 years, everything Brian Kelly had to install. You're going to face adversity at some point. I think I'm probably just a bit more tempered going into week 1, and I would like to see this be a progressive growth throughout the season, in particular throughout September, to get into October where you feel like you're playing your best, so that way you can make something really good of this season.
They should win by at least 10. I'm feeling you, dude. It's hard to win by 20 or 30. You have to be a dominant team hitting on cylinders to win by 20 or 30. They should win by at least 10. And you're going to say, but T-Bob, that's what you said last year about UCLA. And you're right. You also had the hurricane.
That's what you said last year about UCLA.
You also had the hurricane and the travel thing, which is a massive a massive issue with last year's game that we just kind of ignore and throw to the side, but way more impactful than even that, right? That was just the kind of final bullshit thrown on top of the pile. We've talked about it all week on OTB. The coordinator situation is orders of magnitude better this season.
No, you're better coach.
Last year, you had an offense that did not understand its personnel in the slightest. We've gone over this 1,000 times, so I apologize for repeating myself. But we all know the story, right? You don't run a single gap scheme run against UCLA. What is it, 4 weeks later, you set the school record for rushing yards in a game against Florida, only running counter? Like running just one gap scheme play? Defensively, you don't allow any cover zero blitzing for some unknown fucked up reason. You do that after Alabama, after the bye week, and you shut down one of the best offenses in the entire country. There was a fundamental misunderstanding of both sides of the ball from the coaching staff last year. I am not saying that this staff knows this team inside out. What I am saying is they know it markedly better. You were looking at Jake Peets, a first-time, not just a first-time play, like could not even functionally create an offense from an operational sense. In Mike Denbrock, you have someone who has done it forever and even broke off from Brian Kelly. He told us as an OTB, went to Cincinnati to empower himself, to prove to himself that he could operate with more autonomy, that he wanted to have a chance to build an offense more in his image without Kelly kind of guiding him along the guide rails. He goes to Cincinnati, has great success. Now Kelly brings it back in the fold. He gets to operate with that autonomy. Okay, so you are markedly better. Chip Kelly is a markedly better coach than Mike Norvell. Like that is proven. They, I would guess, okay, with your Sean Ward and company, they have like Charbonnet and company, but they don't have a baby Gronk out there. Like it's just not the same. And UCLA's offensive line was pretty good, whereas FSU's bad. So you could say, T-Bob, you said the same things about UCLA, and you're right. But using the benefit of hindsight, unless I'm wrong again.
But
maybe
LSU's
I'm fucking wrong again.
I don't want to necessarily make the comp as far as strategy or personnel, because LSU's a very different team. They're different. A lot of different players. They're different. Obviously not a different coach, different everything. So you could try to maybe map the circumstances, but I do think they're very different, and a lot of those advantages lean toward LSU. So
exactly.
So Brian Kelly's
they should win by at least 10.
I think they'll win the game. I don't think they're going to win by at least 10, but. Unless if they get maybe a late cover.
Pussy shit.
Okay, I think it's going to be, I do think that it's a game in the 20s. That's what I think is going to happen. I think you're going to see like a high 20s, low 20s score, like a 27-23, a 28-24, something like that. That's how I think this. I think LSU's going to cover, but I think it's going to be something like that.
I think I want a better performance than that out of LSU's defense. If this front seven is all it's cracked up to be, they should feast. If they really have 3 members that are all SEC. The only, I think 4 guys made it. Obviously, Keyshawn Booty did, right? But then all other 3 players on the defensive side of the ball. Every team captain on the defensive side of the ball. I don't think this
we also
is a very
don't know what LSU has
offense.
at linebacker. We can guess, but we don't know what they have at linebacker, and they have a completely new secondary. So I'm going to guess that there are going to be times in the game where, the other team has an opportunity to be coached up and call a play that could work as well. So I think ultimately, my opinion, we're getting a little ahead of ourselves. We're going to do predictions at the end, but I think the difference in the game is LSU's explosive athletes on offense. I didn't see that from Florida State, especially in the passing game. Do you remember last year? Like, if
the running backs are explosive, but not. Yeah, but
I don't think their running backs are a threat to rip off a 70-yarder against LSU. I think Malik Neighbors could take a quick slant, make a guy miss, and house it. I think, remember that Kayshon Boutte did that last year against UCLA. I mean, didn't he have 2 or 3 touchdowns in that game?
Yeah, he did.
I mean, there was one play where he took a slant and housed it.
Since Terrace Marshall got hurt, Kayshon Boutte has 14 touchdowns in the 9 games.
It's incredible. He led LSU in receiving touchdowns last year, playing half the season. He was awesome. Like, he's got that ability. Like, he's just a problem. There's going to be a play where they draw it up, they get it to Boutte, and he makes a guy miss, and he goes for 60. I mean, that's what he does. We've seen it. So I think that's probably the biggest, in my opinion, the biggest difference in the game. If it comes down to a kick, I'm shitting myself. I mean, I'm very, very nervous about what may happen if they stall in the red zone and you have to run Damian Ramos out there and he misses. Like we saw that in one of the scrimmages. I mean, they stalled in the red zone. He lined up, they were at the 20. He lined up for a 37-yarder and he hooked it left. I mean, that terrifies me because you've got to get points.
If it comes down to a kick, then Vegas is right. And LSU's over and under should be at 6.5. Now, if they win the game, you stay alive for the 8-4 season that I've been predicting. But if it comes down to a kick against this Florida State team, who, sure, they can be marginally improved, but they're still not good. If it comes down to a kick, then Vegas is potentially, like, if you lose this game, you're not hitting the 8 probably.
But I've said LSU's 8-4, but I think they will be a heavy home favorite against Mississippi State. They'll be a heavy home underdog against Alabama, and they will probably be about a touchdown underdog at Florida. Every other game I could see as a coin, like a spread within 3 points. So they're going to play a lot of games like this, I think, this year. And I think some are going to go their way and some won't. I mean, that's
what I'm saying.
No,
I think those 3-point spreads, I think those teams, like those middle-of-the-pack SEC teams, like your Mississippi States, your Ole Miss. Who else is on the schedule this year?
Ole Miss, Tennessee, Auburn,
Tennessee, thank you. That's
Arkansas.
what I was looking for.
I think all these games are like field goal spreads.
I think they're all
one
better
way or
than
the
Florida
other.
State, significantly.
And I don't.
Okay.
So I think it's, and especially week 1 when we have not seen LSU yet.
I mean, look, to your point, nobody knows they're shitty in week 1, right? And last year, you had a Notre Dame team that was obviously way fucking better than Florida State. Florida State took them to overtime.
Notre Dame was beating the shit out of them.
No, they had 18 in the fourth.
Completely went just belly up in the fourth quarter. That should not have been
but that can happen.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
That's your point. That's the entire point you're making, right? Is that kind of crazy shit can happen. It's week 1. I get that. I get that. I just think that the difference is everything that we've talked about. I mean, their weaknesses are offensive line. They don't have great cornerbacks. LSU's strengths are the defensive line and the wide receiver room.
We got 278 watching live on YouTube, which is phenomenal. Thank you so much.
Hit the like button.
There are 66 on Facebook, so we're over 300 concurrent live viewers.
Gotta love it.
We appreciate
it.
This is a good reminder, actually. However you're watching us right now, if you're watching, you can watch the two of us on Whiskey and Wine post-game on Sunday at Don Juan. So you're welcome to come hang out with us at Don Juan. I know it's Sunday, but everybody's off Monday for Labor Day. So come hang out. But as soon as LSU Florida State's over, we're live, however you're watching right now, from Don Juan. As it is, we're here live right now at Oliver Twist on Perkins Road in Baton Rouge. So let's move a little bit because there's some other things I wanted to talk about. One is Brian Kelly also told us Malik Neighbors is going to return kicks and punts. I love that. I love when you have an explosive athlete that, because you have so many options in the passing game, it may be hard to get them involved. Like they did this with Trey Palmer. Like Trey Palmer was buried on the receiver depth chart, so they let him return kicks and punts to get him opportunities to get the ball in his hands. Yeah. So I love that. I think
Palmer looked good for a little bit last Saturday too.
Trey Palmer, I don't know if you watch Trey Palmer's at Nebraska right now. If you watch Nebraska Northwestern, the broadcast described Trey Palmer. This is the biggest hat tip to LSU's receiver group. The broadcast described Trey Palmer as Nebraska's best, most dominant player. And you know, Mark Whipple is Nebraska's OC.
Yep, from
Mark
Pitt.
was at Pitt last year where he had Kenny Pickett and Jordan Addison, who won the Biletnikoff, who's now at SC. He compared Trey Palmer's skill set to Jordan Addison. Like, the OC who coached the Biletnikoff winner last year compared Trey Palmer to that dude was maybe the 6th receiver on this team. Like, that's stunning. I mean, that's very validating for the talent. As much as we've talked about LSU's receivers, that's like an external source that validates what we all think we see to say, yeah, no, they are that good and deep and talented.
Fair.
I think Neighbors is going to have a great year, man. He's a freak. The touchdown he had last year against Kentucky was jaw-dropping. And the other thing I love about him, too, is...
He's had a great camp.
Bro, every time we were out there at camp and Malik Neighbors made a play, he talked so much shit. Like, every time. I want that in a receiver.
Yeah.
Like, I want that in a receiver. I think they want more of that out of Jure Jenkins. Like Kelly talked about this. He wants Jure, who's been so consistent, to be more vocal. But I think Malik is going to have an awesome year. I'm fired up to see him return.
Well, and like we talked about, they're putting him in the slot, right? And it's a position where he, especially with the threats that you're still going to have on the outside with Kayshon Boutte, and then whether it's Jack Besh, Jure Jenkins, anybody else out there, like, how do you guard them all? And
this is why I love bourbon, by the way.
Matt, this is
so
where
I just enjoy this so much. It's just every sip is just like an indulgence. Anyway,
but this is where, to your point, the offensive line rears its ugly head. Like, the offensive line just has to do enough. Just do enough where the quarterbacks can take advantage of these receiver matchups. And to be clear, the receivers are good enough where they will help in pass protection, right? Because they should be winning those battles early. Like Jure Jenkins in the slot with some quick hitting routes, doing the wet work over the middle. If somebody does get beat, he should help. If they are getting beat, that's maybe why you go with Jaden Daniels, so he can use his legs. We'll have to wait and see. But like, if you want to talk about the only way to stop the LSU receiving core, especially with this Florida State team that is thin at corner, it's not necessarily even like your best path to stopping them is not guarding them well, because that might be impossible. Your best path to stopping them would be taking advantage of an LSU line that is, I've been saying it like this, they are still the biggest concern, and they're the biggest question mark, but I am less concerned than I was entering camp. I actually like the 5 they put together. And they named Cam Wire the right tackle, right? Mm-hmm. And so Anthony Bradford at right guard.
At guard, and I like Bradford at guard. Bradford at tackle, I don't know if you agree with this, He's like a 360-pound tackle. Like, he's so big.
He is really big, but like he looked good pass blocking when I saw him, right? But the thing is, you have to get your best 5 out there. And you're right, his body is more of a guard body, and he probably and wait, so Shorts is the odd man out, right?
Shorts is out. So Frazier went to left guard.
So him at guard represents more of an upgrade over Shorts than him at tackle does over Wire. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, he might be the best guy at both positions, but it's a bigger impact at guard than a tackle. Cam Wire's your senior. You put him in, that makes sense.
Hey, real quick, so you can talk to this. One of the things Brian Kelly said was about, he talked about having his big interior. I'm trying to remember exactly how he phrased it, but he was talking about the interior line, and he was talking like the big lineup, or exactly how he phrased it. But I think it's easy to oversimplify and say, well, you just you put your big guys in the middle because their feet aren't as quick and they can't get out and block and tackle. But what might he be alluding to there with that lineup, like going big on the interior?
I mean, no, I think it is kind of that simple in that, okay, when you're talking about guard, no position affects the running game as much as guard does. You're going to be driving 3 techs out a lot. You're going to be comboing the center a lot, working to the second level. It's like, I always remember back in the day. You remember the old Vikings guard? Was it Hutchinson? He's a fucking animal. When he went to Seattle, all of a sudden Sean Alexander became, I think, a league MVP. I think that lined up with Hutchinson arriving there.
He was the MVP in 2005, the year they went to the Super Bowl.
And I'm pretty sure that's the year that Hutchinson got there, maybe the year after. Like, guards have a massive impact.
Well, look at how the Saints built their great teams with Jari Evans and Carl Nicks. I mean,
big boys.
They built, and even at center too. I mean, they built inside out.
So you got to be a little taller and leaner, a little more athletic at tackle. Guard's just a more physical position. When I went from playing center to guard, I buffed up from 295, 300, all the way up to like 315, because I knew I had to have that extra weight on me for the physicality of that position. So it's just, it requires a little less athleticism. You're not on an island as much as you are a tackle, and when you are one-on-one on an island, it's a much closer island. You're not dealing with speed guys. You're dealing with bigger, stronger guys. And so bigger size just behooves you and in the middle there.
So Brian Kelly talked quarterbacks. Malik Neighbors is going to be your returner as well. The week 0 thing, who had the advantage? I mean, Kelly on Monday said, they have an advantage because they played. And he said not naming a quarterback is the tactical advantage. And he said we have the advantage having not played because we have game film on them and they don't have anything on us.
That's what I said. There are analytics that support that.
So I asked around to a lot of coaches at different levels. And I was a little surprised by this, but there was a consensus because I would have thought you'd rather play the game. And certainly playing the game, you get to, look, I mean, there are advantages, right? I mean, you get to go watch your team play, you find out what you think you're good at, what you're not at, you can fix things. They always say biggest improvement week 1 to week 2, all that shit. But the thing that I consistently got back that surprised me a little was people thought the biggest advantage in this game was LSU's defense because Florida State has no idea what Matt House is going to do.
Oh, that is very true.
And it was
I thought about that.
And this is how one coach explained it to me. He said, I want to know when I go in, I want to feel confident that I have all the information so I can put together a plan. And he said it's very unsettling if you go into a game and you don't know what someone's going to do. And even Mike Norvell talked about it this week in his press conference. He said, we were watching Kansas City Chiefs film, but he wasn't even the defensive coordinator.
No.
We were watching Kentucky film from 2018.
Watch Steve Spagnuolo at your own risk.
Right. And then if you think about some of the personnel also, if you want to watch Jarp and our Converse, you got to go watch Oklahoma State. If you want to see Mekhi Garner, you got to go watch Nichols.
Are you ready to fucking pop in that McNeese film, bitch?
McNeese to watch Colby Richardson, right? But that's kind of the point. It has to be unsettling for Florida State offensively because they're not going to know everything about LSU's talent, their personnel, and it's got to be really unsettling because you don't know how Matt House is going to present it. So I think, again, this is not I'm not giving you my opinion. I'm telling you, I wanted to go ask a bunch of coaches, and that was the consensus was, hey, so Lee from Bowie. That was the consensus, was the biggest advantage was actually LSU's defense because Mike Norvell isn't going to know what the fuck Matt House is going to do, how the presentation is going to look.
Well, I mean,
and that made me feel I was like, wow.
Think about this. We got coaches out here not releasing depth charts because they think it gives them an advantage. We got coaches
Les
playing
Miles, dog.
That's what I'm saying. Sam Pittman, Brian Kelly. Has Brian Kelly even released a depth chart? We've gotten some starters, but I don't think we have an official depth chart. So if you're talking about coaches being paranoid to the fact of not releasing their depth charts, then what does a game worth of film do? And you're right, Matt. Normally in this situation, if you're talking about grabbing a McNeese transfer and a Nichols transfer and all these other guys, you're like, oh, well, that defense probably fucking sucks. There's a good chance that defense might not be that good. The difference here is that you're combining that, which admittedly the secondary is a bit like the offensive line. It's a bunch of cobbled together parts, old and new. But you're combining it with a front seven that is viewed as maybe being one of the best in the entire SEC. A front seven featuring Jaquelin Roy, Mason Smith, Ali Gay, B.J. Ojolari. The defensive
I don't know if
line
I can go
dominate.
front seven. Defensive line, I'm 100% with you on defensive line. And we actually talked about this last week. And I think you even said it.
Mike Jones Jr. going to have a breakout year, but we can
maybe so. But you even said it last week, what we think we know about the defensive lines. And I interrupted you, and I was like, no, we do, because we've seen these guys be good in college. We've seen Ali Gay.
As good as they're kind of being crowned, though.
I don't know. I think collectively the defense was shitty, and we've talked about it as well with Durante Jones kind of being handcuffed for half a season last year. I mean, the first game Ali Gay played against Mississippi State, it was like, holy shit, he's a
it was awesome.
Like he's a dinosaur. He's going straight to the league. Like we know he can be good. We've seen B.J. Ojulari get off on the edge. Like I know Mason Smith. And Mason Smith, how unfair for Mason Smith playing injured last year and having to play tackle and end last year out of necessity. He had to play 2 positions. Now he's like, dude, park your ass in the middle and go wreck shit. You know, it's different. We know that physically he's able, so I don't worry about LSU's defensive line at all. I'm not gonna say skeptical. I'll say, or maybe not pessimistic. I'll say I'm skeptical. Like I need to see it from these linebackers. I need to see them perform.
Yeah,
none of them has.
No, that's fair.
Baskerville's the only one that has, and he's like the 3rd fucking team.
Well, that's what's funny, right? So you could take that as like, okay, maybe that's a good sign. But also, maybe it's the 3rd year in a row where that's Baskerville's music, and he has to like come in and run in the ring and like save this season again. I don't fucking know.
Maybe so.
I will say this, man. Mike Jones, for whatever reason, jives with his coaching staff. They not only view him as a good player, they view him as one of the core team leaders.
And the teams voted him a captain.
Exactly. So Mike Jones Jr., I think, is as well positioned as anyone to have a breakout year. Outside of that, I don't know who the other guy's going to be. It's going to be Penn. It's going to be Harold Perkins. Will it be Baskerville? Like, who's the guy that eventually steps up? I'm not sure.
I think your first 2, when the defense runs out on the field for the first time, we know what the defensive line's going to be, and your 2 stand-up inside backers are going to be Mike Jones and Greg Penn. Like, those are going to be your first 2. And then, depending on situation, I think Greg Brooks will be your nickel. And then your safeties will be Jay Ward, Major Burns. I mean that's your starting defense. Like those will be the first 11 on the field. Like I would be stunned if it was anything.
He gave Burns props today, didn't he?
He loves Major Burns. Yeah. He's complimented him as intellectually, as far as his football IQ, and then physically always in the right place and all that sort of shit. Yes, I mean they love Major Burns.
Do you want to? Okay, what do you want to do? Do you want to get to? I feel like we've broken down the game. We got a ton of questions to get to. Do you want to do a quick picks?
Okay. Do you want to do SEC or do you want to do all the top 25? Like last year we did top 25, but we can just do if you.
Well, let's pick the big boys. Let's pick some of the big boys here.
Okay.
And let's do 2 against the spread because there's 2 crazy 17-point spreads. I actually.
All right, hang on. Let's go in order.
Okay.
All right, let's go in order. Thursday, you got the Backyard Brawl, which you alluded to, which, by the way, you're talking 15 years from...
I thought it was 2011 last time they played, no?
No, from the 07 Backyard Brawl, the 13-9 game, which is like a curse word.
One LSU natty.
It's like a curse word in West Virginia when they lost 13-9. I mean,
trust me, my father-in-law, everybody in my wife's family is from there.
It's bonkers, man. Like that's the worst thing that ever happened to them.
They lost to a shitty Pitt team. They would have gone to the national championship if they won. They're never making it back there, dude.
I covered the 07 SEC championship game. Perilou throws the touchdown pass in the front of the end zone. Jonathan Zenon with the pick 6. Left, went to Mellow Mushroom. But my brother was living in Atlanta. Went to Mellow Mushroom by his apartment in Atlanta, and I watched that fucking Pitt West Virginia game just with my mouth agape, like, what the fuck am I watching?
13-9?
It's 13-9. Unbelievable. All right, so who wins, West Virginia or Pitt?
I think Pitt wins, and I think maybe Pitt wins big, but I'm betting with my heart, and I bet on West Virginia plus 7.5.
That's JT Daniels against Keaton Slovis.
Yeah, the used Trojans. That's a joke that my boy gave me. It's pretty good, though. Shout out Ian.
I'm going to pick West Virginia to win that game on the road.
My fucking dog, let's ride!
I think they're going to win the game on the road.
Go Mountaineers, let's go, dude.
I'm going with JT Daniels on the road. I think Pitt losing maybe the greatest quarterback they've had since Dan Marino, losing Jordan Addison. I don't know what that offense is going to be.
Narduzzi? More like Narpoozy or Narsnoozy, or how about this? Now that me and Matt agree, Narloozy.
Do you know that I love puns?
Fuck you, Pat. Yeah, good. That's a good one, too. Huh? I nailed it.
That one wasn't great. But I do love
full of shit.
No,
dude.
but I do love puns.
You're full of shit.
Like, I know you do the puns in the morning, and nobody ever laughs.
Nobody ever likes
But I love them.
I love them.
I love puns.
I love them,
I don't like you, but I like puns.
That's good, dude.
So I like when you do puns.
We all find some common ground.
Yeah, for sure.
Which, West Virginia, our common ground. Okay, what are we going to?
Oregon, Georgia is one of the giant lines you were talking about. That's number 11, Oregon, going across country to take on number 3, Georgia. Do you remember last year the big opener was Georgia-Clemson, and it was the thing everybody talked about, and it ended up being a really defensive game where both offenses didn't do shit.
Yeah, it was like 10-3.
It was a terrible football game that Georgia ultimately won. We found out Clemson wasn't – well, Clemson did end up winning 10 games with the bowl game. They were 9-3 and then won the bowl game. But that was a game where – I think people expected more fireworks. They didn't get it. I'm curious if this might be the same thing. You got the Bo Nix show there for the Ducks going back to Atlanta to take on, with Dan Lanning to take on Georgia.
So you know me. Sometimes I start to argue and then I get anchored down and I just back my point irrationally. I said that I didn't love Oregon's offseason. Jake returns. He hit me with all these numbers about returning starters. Sure, they return a lot of starters. Sure, whatever. From a 10-win team. A 10-4 10-win team. A 10-4 10-win team that got absolutely fucking waxed by Utah. Twice. Not once, but twice, okay? They had a downgraded head coach. They lost their best player to USC in Travis Dye. And this is something that both Jake and Aaron Murray disagreed with me, which is, who's their quarterback last year? Why am I breaking Brown? Why am I blanking? Anthony Brown? Oregon's quarterback last year, was that it? Shit. Doesn't matter.
I don't remember.
I'm calling, he had better numbers than Bo Nix did last year. From him to Bo Nix, I'm calling that a downgrade. Now, I think he was probably in a better position than Bo Nix. I get that countermark. The point is, though, don't get married to Oregon's returning starters. Georgia is a drastically better team. Oregon has really nice pieces. Great interior defensive line. Really good offensive line. However, I do want to see that going against, the defenses of Georgia. But Georgia still is elite defensively, and I like Stetson Bennett. Now with his high fade, his gold chain, his first ever year where he got to take the 1 reps throughout the entirety of the offseason, I got Georgia to cover in the Dome. How about that? Fuck Oregon.
You said we have a ton of questions.
Yeah.
You have to learn how to be pithy.
Go. You're talking. Go. Answer. Go. What are you doing?
Georgia wins, Oregon covers. You can't lose 15 players to the draft and not feel it. Same with LSU after 2019.
It's completely different than LSU if you look at the recent recruiting and the people that they have in place.
I'm agreeing that Georgia's roster is better than Oregon's, but experience matters. So I'll take Georgia to win, Oregon to cover with the 17.
You and your fucking returning starters.
Cincinnati at Arkansas.
Actually, I don't think I bet this game yet. If Cincinnati doesn't win, that's all. I think right behind Utah, Cincinnati's the biggest must-win of the weekend. I got Arkansas to win, Cincinnati to cover.
6.5 is the line.
I know. That's what I'm saying. It's a big line. I don't know if I trust Arkansas to win this game by a touchdown. Cincinnati lost a lot, though, but Arkansas lost a lot. There's no more Traylon Burks.
I am stunned that people are this bullish on Arkansas.
Yeah, you hate Arkansas. You called them the Arkan frauds all last year.
No, I called them the Arkan frauds because after they beat A&M and Texas, who both ended up sucking last year, they were ranked 8th in the country, and then went to Georgia and got the shit kicked out of them, like I told you they would, because they weren't a top 10 team in the country. It was bullshit. That's what
fine,
I call them,
but you have to fucking honor teams what they've done at that point in the season.
But it's why I call them the Arkan frauds, because they weren't a top 10 team.
I watched the Rutgers game on a Thursday night where South Florida was number 2 in the country one time. Remember that?
Yes.
Yeah.
They had 3 different teams. It was 06. There were 3 different teams from the Big East that all were ranked number 2. It was Louisville, Rutgers, and South Florida all got up to number 2 the same season. Who was the coach of South Florida then?
Oh, shit. The guy that went on to Texas. Can't remember his name.
Jim Leavitt.
Oh, never mind. That was not the guy
you were wrong. You were wrong.
I was wrong.
You were thinking of Charlie Strong.
Yes, I was thinking of Charlie Strong.
And that was actually not it because you got it in reverse anyway.
Oh, I had it flipped. He went from Texas to South Florida.
Utah against Florida in Gainesville.
Oh, wait, what are you doing in Arkansas? Are you choosing Cincy to win and cover? I mean, are you choosing Cincy money line after all that Arkansas shit talk? Yeah, come on. Oh, come on, big boy, hurry up. We only got a few minutes.
That line should be bigger, shouldn't it? If Arkansas is as good as they are, and Cincinnati loses Desmond Ridder and Sauce Gardner and Mike Denbrock, by the way, like that line should be bigger, shouldn't it?
But I think people have major questions about Arkansas losing Traylon Burks. I mean, and I know that sounds crazy. It's just one player, but he was a beast for them last year. So where are you going?
I think Arkansas is going to find a way to sneak that motherfucker out.
I think they're covered.
But I'm afraid I probably won't play it because
I'm not playing it.
It could be a tie game and Arkansas scores late and wins at home.
I have no idea how to play that.
Like, I have Arkansas on major upset alert in that ball game. They are not as good as they are being hyped to be. All right, Utah, Florida, pick a winner.
I already bet this. I got Utah to cover.
Okay, Utah to win.
Too
and
much
cover.
to ask Florida here, game one.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, so Notre Dame, Ohio State.
Although the heat is interesting in that game, playing in Florida, it's interesting. It's interesting. Who we got?
Notre Dame, Ohio State.
Oh, man, I know you went to Calic High, but put me in the papal seat because I got the motherfucking Irish, dude.
Do you?
Tyler Buckner. More like Tyler Fuckner, okay? Because he's going to fuck Ryan Day and only lose by 13. I talked about somewhere along the line. I talked myself into Notre Dame. I don't exactly know the math or how it happened, but like I'm reading. I'm like Tommy Reese. Okay, the defense is still going to be elite. They don't have wide receivers, but they have Michael Myers. Yeah, Ohio State's probably the best team in the country, and they have Jackson Smith and Jigba and C.J. Stroud and everybody. But Notre Dame's still pretty good. 17's a lot of points. Yeah, baby. Matt, you see that? That's white smoke.
You said
they've chosen a new pope.
You said he's going to fuck Ryan Day.
Yeah. Tyler Buckner will.
Not fuck him up, not fuck with him, not run roughshod through his team. You said he's going to
run roughshod through his team.
You wanted to say it so badly.
I did. And I stopped
you
myself.
Fucking degenerate.
I did.
You wretched degenerate. Ohio State is not only going to win this game, they're going to easily cover the 17.5.
Do you even Michael Myers?
They will ease. Do I what?
Michael Myers.
What about, like, Mayer?
The best tight end in the country?
It's Michael Mayer. Michael Myers is the fucker from Halloween who used to kill people.
Exactly. And what position would Michael Myers play if he was on a football field?
You probably are asking about Michael Mayer.
No. I am asking about Michael. I'm talking about Michael Myers.
I think Michael Myers would be like a Dick Butkus linebacker.
Awful choice. He's a tight end. Look at him. He's a fucking rectangle, deceptive speed,
hey, by the way,
great run blocker, very tall, great pass blocker.
Next time, just don't fuck up the guy's name that you're trying to talk about and make a point.
No.
You said Michael Myers.
Because I was thinking of Michael Mayer, best tight end in the country.
And you said Michael Myers.
Because I literally have it in my notes for Halloween to do a villain position group, and Michael Myers is a tight end.
Let's do questions so I can get out of here. Let's go. Come on. Questions. That's it. LSU, Florida State.
They want us to go. Greg Lamont wants to go position by position and compare last year's LSU team to this team.
Greg Lehman.
Real quick.
All right, here we go. Quarterback.
Better because of the OC situation.
Not OC situation. Talent. Quarterback. I'll go this year with Jaden over Max. I take Jaden over Max.
Okay, I don't know if I can say that yet.
When you see Jaden Daniels run, you will get it. I have a prediction for you. I have a prediction for Saturday. Jaden Daniels will be LSU's leading rusher in the ballgame.
Huh, I can see it. I mean, I'm not going to argue against that.
He will be their leading rusher.
Okay, offensive line. I like this year better.
Last year had so much experience, man.
Doesn't matter. Experience is overrated sometimes.
And 3 guys got drafted into the NFL.
Yeah, but how do you think they're going to play? I like this year.
Both are bad.
Defensive line better this year because it's the same D-line with more experience.
Oh, but you can't talk about experience. Experience doesn't matter. Don't play up experience. It doesn't matter.
Bro, it's the same personnel.
Experience doesn't matter. Same personnel for the offensive line last year as well.
No.
Same guys back.
No, what I'm saying, it's not the same guys back. It's completely new.
No.
I think
last year's offensive line were returning players, and they were shitty.
Yeah, because that's what I'm saying. Returning players are it's like an overrated stat. If you're not good and you're returning, you get marginally better, but you're still not good. I think the talent of this 5, the talent ceiling is way fucking higher than last year.
Long term, yes. This is a more talented group. Can they play together? All the questions week 1, I don't know.
They'll play better than they did against UCLA last year.
This year's better because Kayshawn's healthy. Yep. Tight end, this year's better.
Because Mason Taylor, actually?
We haven't seen it, but it's the same thing as
also Jack Mashburn now coming back.
It's the same thing. It's the same guys. It's Cole Taylor. It's fucking Mashburn. It's the same guys. Then you add Mason Taylor.
Mason Taylor. If you can find a, you keep using that point like you're making a point. You're not, because it's different personnel on the O line. Sure, if you're comparing a group to last year's group and it's the same fucking players, then I will say they're better this year.
From the 2020 offensive line to the 2021 offensive line, those were the same players.
Exactly.
And they didn't get better.
Exactly. No, they set a school record for rushing. So they actually did. The 2020 team was awful. Bro, they did get better in 2021.
You just said about the fucking Florida game, it was one fucking play that Florida couldn't defend.
Yes, but that was because of great execution. That was elite play. Like, what are you talking about?
Are you going to argue that LSU's offensive line was good last year?
I think they were better than they were in 2020. They were fucking awful then. What do you mean? And if you're arguing against that, then you're arguing against your own fucking experience point. So you're arguing yourself in goddamn circles. We're getting bogged down. You understand that we have to, we have a show. We have to keep going with these questions. Cornerback worse. Safety better? Are you better at safety?
When Major Burns got hurt last year, that you kind of had a revolving door at the other spot. And then you remember also Sage Ryan wasn't healthy for half the season. So because you're healthy, you're deeper there. I think LSU's very deep at safety and very good at safety.
Yeah, me too, actually.
Corner,
if Joe Fouche's not starting.
Corner, they've got a lot of experience, but experience doesn't matter. So I don't know if they'll be good.
No, bro. Corner last year was supposed to be Eli Ricks and Derek Stingley Jr. And it didn't end up being that, but that is elite. And McLaughlin. Is McLaughlin starting then?
He's not on a starter on the initial depth chart.
Wow.
And Ricks will. People are clowning Ricks a bunch, but
he's got the slash by his name. I like the jokes as much as everybody else, but he's got the slash by his name.
He had a back injury and missed basically all of camp. Like when he's healthy, he'll be the guy. He's a fucking first-round pick, man. He's a freak show. Got a fucking pick six in his first collegiate game.
Okay, running
stop
back.
Stop being stupid. Last year.
Yeah, with Kiner and you're
Tight end Price.
I don't really love either group, but yeah, last year.
And you didn't have Emery last year. You don't have him this year, at least not yet.
Yeah. Quarterback, you said. Have we covered it all? Is that it?
Special team.
Linebacker.
Last year, Damone Clark.
Last year.
You don't have a Damone Clark.
And I think you're worse in special teams, probably in every single regard. Maybe not punter, which is bad. So a bit of a mix.
And with all of that, you're still super convinced LSU's going to win by double digits on Saturday.
Bro, Florida State is shitty, bro.
LSU might be shitty.
Okay, well then stop picking them to go 8-4.
But I don't know
fucking nut up and pick them to go 6-6.
I don't believe by the way, Russ Mitchell picked LSU 4-8 today on AFR.
I love Russ, but
4-8.
Russ is someone who made his money in other business. He's a hot take artist. He can jerk off. No.
He's not a hot take. I would not claim it. I would not categorize him a hot take artist.
I say that lovingly.
I just think he's honest.
I like hot take artists. I'm not saying
you know what he
it's
did.
bad,
you know what he did. He went Desmond Howard CFP picks.
Yes, exactly.
He just went
and I fucking love Dez for that. I've talked about it on multiple shows.
It's like
Dez is it's like the gold rush, and there's a shitty piece of land that no one wants, and Dez is like, I think there's gold in these here mountains. I'm gonna settle this, and he put his flag up there, and who knows, maybe he strikes. And now we got Russ out here saying, well, I think there's oil in this here land to put the rig up. Who knows? Maybe he ends up as Daniel Day-Lewis in the end, or maybe he ends up destitute and dying in a pit. They ain't going 4-8, Russ Mitchell, you fucking dumbass. What, he chose 4-8 because Brian Kelly went 4-8 year one at Notre Dame?
He didn't go 4-8 year one at Notre Dame.
Where'd he go?
That was his his 9th year at Notre Dame. Well, it was 2016 or 18? 2018 when they went 4-8? Or 2019. It was not his first year at Notre Dame when they went 4-8. It was like his 9th year at Notre Dame. It was like 2018 or 2019.
Oh, wow. It was 2016. You're right.
2016. Sorry.
So it was his third year at Notre Dame.
And that was a weird one-off. No,
it was 1, 2, 3.
Those got vacated.
Yeah, 1, 2,
it was like his 5th, 6th year, something like that.
4, 5. Yeah, 6.
It was a weird one-off, and they lost every game in the fourth quarter. They led every game in the fourth quarter and lost. It was such a bizarre season. But he bookended those with 10-win seasons. The year before they went 4-8, they won 10. They went 4-8, then won 10, 12.
They won 10 games 5 years in a row.
Yeah, it was crazy. So anyway, No,
I drink your milkshake, Eli. I put my straw into your hand. I drink your milkshake, Russ Mitchell, you fucking bitch.
What does that mean?
It's There Will Be Blood. I'm doing a There Will Be Blood thing. Daniel Day-Lewis, keep up, dude. One of the greatest movies.
Do you have
all
all right questions? We're already at 8 o'clock.
Yeah, but it's game week.
And we
Stop
started
being a
late.
little bitch,
We started
dude.
late.
I'm about to fight you.
Why are you going to fight me?
Because I'm trying to get out of here. What's going on at Rouse's this week? And I'm having fun. I'm drinking. We're talking. I got a burger in front of me I keep thinking about. What's going on at Rouse's this week? Luke Collins.
Oh, you tell me what's going on at Rouse's.
Me and Matt are going to be – I'm going to have to Uber home now. Jesus Christ. Me and Matt
– Matt, can I get a beer?
Are going to be hanging out. We're not actually doing a show, which is fucking awesome. We are literally just hanging out at Rouse's. And I think the Cannon's going to be there as well, maybe with Elle. So come on out. That's going to be a lot of fun. And then
we're apparently not finishing. He doesn't want to finish the fucking show.
Yeah, chill out. We're going 10 more minutes. So we're doing that at Rouse's, and then we are doing whiskey and wine at Don Juan. So me and Matt will leave Rouse's, head straight back to Don Juan.
Are you doing your show Monday in New Orleans?
I was open to it, but we're not.
Oh, thank God, bro! I was like, I mean, I don't like you, but even I have some capacity.
I've done it
because I'm like, you're going to be in Baton Rouge. Drive to New Orleans for 2 hours to do a Rouse's remote. Drive back to Baton Rouge to do Don Juan, whiskey and wine. Then drive back to New Orleans for a morning fucking show. I was like,
fucking committed to the
no, that's fucking
game.
stupid is what that is. Right, do your questions.
What do y'all expect out of the running game?
Saturday or overall? I think it's going to be
Saturday.
I think it's going to be very hard to run. I don't think that there's going to be a running back that goes over 50 yards. I think Jaden Daniels will be your leading rusher.
Last year, Florida State did shut Notre Dame down running the ball. I can't say it's going to be great. Not with the offensive line.
But again, I don't think that's how that's LSU's recipe to win this game.
Yeah,
I think
exactly.
It's explosive plays in the passing game and Jaden Daniels running the football. Thank you.
Where y'all getting brunch on Sunday? Nowhere. I don't think. How many sacks does LSU have, and how does that affect Jordan Travis throughout the game? I don't know about sacks, but I will say this. It's very clear. If you shut down the Florida State rushing attack, Jordan Travis cannot win this game. Put it on Jordan Travis's shoulders, and it is a guarantee they will lose. If you look at the game from last year against Notre Dame, Matt, the passing stats.
I actually watched it like
Florida
2 weeks
State,
ago.
Oh, really? Well, so the passing was awful, right? I mean, they actually lost the turnover battle 3-1, but they ran the ball well.
It was
5
the
yards
day.
per carry.
It was the day Miles quit or retired, whatever. So I fired up a nightcap with Scone, and I put the TV on in my office, and that was on. There was no live sports. So I like literally sat there and rewatched that game like 2 weeks ago.
Have we heard anything out of practice on Kayshawn? Is he going to return to previous form?
Man, he looks awesome.
He does look really good.
We've seen him. I mean, he's unguardable. It's every 7-on-7 and scrimmage drill we saw. I mean, I saw him drop a pass in the scrimmage that we got to see at the McClendon facility.
Yeah.
It was, well, let me not say he dropped it. It was a PBU. He had it, could have caught it, contact, and then it fell. But shit, man. I mean, every one of those 1-on-1 drills, the 7-on-7 drills, like nobody can guard him. It's just unfair. He's just strong hands, leaping ability, fast. He gets separation. That's why he's going to be a first-round pick. He's fucking awesome. Like, college defenders can't guard him.
Edward O wants to know who's going to be the leading receiver versus FSU. I'm going to go Kayshawn. Just go with chalk. Just keep it simple.
I agree.
But Malik Neighbors is a sneaky choice.
How about this? Kayshawn. No, Kayshawn. Both receptions and yardage. Kayshawn.
Who do you think wins a turnover battle? I don't know, dude. I don't know if I know how to answer
That's hard
that.
to predict, yeah.
Daniel Basham.
One more thing. Sorry, I wanted to. Watching Florida State last week, because this was about the sack question. Watching Florida State last week, I felt like I was watching Les Miles' offense. It was eerily similar, where it was ground and pound, and then eventually.
Now, they were doing this a bit on purpose, though, right? Also, because they don't want to show like LSU stuff.
But keep in mind also, Florida State's offensive coordinator is Alex Atkins. When James Craig got fired, the two real finalists for the job, Brad Davis and Alex Atkins, they tried to hire Atkins from Florida State. He's a great offensive line coach. Like he was an OC at Tulane as well. So he had roots in Louisiana, great offensive line coach, and then ultimately Norvell upped the money for him and kept him there. But you have an offensive line coach as your OC now at Florida State. So your boy wants to run the football. Like, that's in his DNA.
Yeah.
So it felt like.
Well, and the strength of their team is their running backs.
But it's not their line, which is weird. It's not their line. But they ran it 54 times.
Well, also, their running backs had like an absurd amount of broken tackles.
No, I know. I watched it. It was they're talented. They're good. They're fun to watch. But to the point about sacks, they didn't utilize a short passing game. They ran. Play action deep shot is what they did. Like, the first pass they completed was like a 51-yarder over the top on play action. And that kid got hurt, too. The receiver got hurt, the big 6'7" kid.
The thing is, LSU can control that, though, man. If they get out to a lead, right, and if they're not able to run the ball, which Alabama could not run the ball last year, but Alabama kind of sucked at running the ball last year. So whatever. But if they can't run the ball, then all of a sudden you put on Jordan Travis. That's great.
That is defensively, that's your recipe. It's like, you make Jordan Travis beat you throwing the ball, and I don't think they have the receivers to do it. So I'm not worried about Florida State scoring 35 in the game or anything. I'm more worried about LSU functioning offensively with a new quarterback, questionable offensive line, new everything, right? That's my. We don't know what they really have in the running backs either. Like, that's my concern for the game. And if you play a tight game and you need special teams and for field position and to score points and field goals, like, that's where I'm uneasy. That's where I'm uneasy.
You gonna bet it?
No.
You're not betting?
I never bet LSU or Saints games.
You're not betting Brian Kelly team against Mike Norvell?
I never bet LSU or Saints games. Out of principle. I need to watch the game and not be worried about my bet. And I also don't trust myself to be completely unemotional about the whole thing. What else you got?
I say we call it. I think that's it.
Huh?
I say we call it. I think that's the other questions. I don't think are. Yeah.
All right. Final score. I'll go 27. I'll go 27-23.
31-17. 31-17.
Okay.
It's going to be like that Miami game, not in its rhythm, but in how LSU comes out and surprises people and kind of re-announces themselves to the world.
Can I say that in that Miami game, I did pick LSU to win and to beat the shit out of Miami?
Oh, man.
I did.
Oh, man.
No, I did.
Wow. Well, it looks like somewhere along the line you became a pussy, man.
No, I've just always been really honest, and I'll tell you what I think. I'm not going to pander, and I think that's why people listen to me.
You got pandering?
I don't think you're pandering.
Okay, I'm making sure.
I don't think you're
pandering. I would not have put the biggest bet of my life on LSU if I was pandering.
I did bet $1,000 on LSU to beat Alabama in the Natty in 2012.
No,
I made the bet.
No, now see, that's a bad bet, bro.
I made the bet.
That's an awful bet.
I made the bet in the Superdome. Like, standing on the field pregame, I made that bet.
Do you know why that's a bad bet? It's the same reason why my bet this week's a good bet. That was Nick Saban versus Les Miles, which with hindsight feels much clearer. I get that. But, like, that's the same thing here, dude. We don't know about Mike Norvell.
But you played on that team, but you don't have the context of our conversations because you were playing.
Yeah, that's fair.
That team felt like they were never going to lose.
I agree.
And it was in New Orleans.
I know.
It was like this team with Tyrann Mathieu in this building.
We got lucky to win game one.
I get it.
And it was Nick Saban. That's the thing at the end of the day. It was fucking Nick Saban against Les Miles. Your money never had a chance.
No. What? Les beat Nick 3 times.
I know.
By the way,
muddied the water, so I'm using the benefit of hindsight.
I also made a $1,000 bet one time on a Oklahoma. It was 2011. No, it wasn't 2011. It was 2010. Oklahoma State in the Holiday Bowl, I think, to cover. And that was who's the old guy that played quarterback? Brandon Weeden.
Yeah.
Justin Blackman.
Yeah.
I bet $1,000 on the cover and it hit.
Hell awesome. Yeah, dude. There you go. You made up for it, dude. Good to go.
That might have been, no, it couldn't have been the same season because that was the year where Oklahoma State should have played in the Natty against LSU.
I feel like Justin Blackman was on those teams. Maybe I'm wrong.
He was, but I think the year before in 2010. I mean, it was definitely Brandon Weeden and Justin Blackman. All right, we're done.
I am about to fight someone, dude. I'm fucking fired up.
Who dat? Go Tigers.
Go